big house today. It's got to have all these accountants back after the 15th. I think Chris Neal has our invitation. Here he is. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Your bag of answers. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for nice weather, for friends, for the opportunity to serve others. Please continue to touch our hearts and guide our souls. Please name your prayer. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test. Is it the truth?
Thanks
Is it the truth?
all concerned. Will it be goodwill, better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
My first time.
Chris, they sure is down the road at the moment. I think you may have one.
The first time I did this. Just as a Rotary member, I've been involved a little over a year now and have really enjoyed these breakfasts with the off-site stuff, as we all know, hanging out at Chip's house, barbecuing kids, and the service work on standing up on the roof with all of you. It's been a lot of fun.
Matthew.
Good morning, everyone. Evidence tax season's over because we have a high of 50 Rotarians here today. So we have a visiting Rotarian, also guest speaker Wayne Scott from Greensboro. Kelly Harrell has a guest this morning.
This is Michael Hunt. He is my guest. This is his third visit, and actually his application is in and 7-day letter out. So hopefully, if none of y'all blackball him, then he hopefully will be a part of the club. So welcome, Michael Hunt.
Good morning, JC. This is my wonderful guest. I'm so happy that she came. She has to come. Tina Forsberg, and she does so much. I have to give the card to tell you what she does. But she's in energy or gas sales commercial, and she is also, she's president of Greater Greensboro Republican Sons Club. Please.
Cheryl David has a guest this morning.
I do.
Danny Woods.
Sorry, Danny Farley didn't get the Danny memo. We were all sit over here today.
Also, I have a guest as well, as usual. I was told what to do again. When I was sitting down. My wife, Marley.
Anything new? Got anything going on?
Yes, money is flowing in. The one thing we've got is a lot of promises. Love those promises, guys, but need the cash. Need the cash. And also, I've got some posters. Any of you guys who can put them in your windows that are merchants or know people who can put them in their windows, that'd be great. Just so people, when they're walking by, they can check out our event. They can ask you all about it. You can tell them all the great things we do. So, James is our money guy. He's doing a great job collecting the money. He's got all these nice spreadsheets and stuff. Need a right-hand man like him. There you go. There's another envelope. Just good. I feel like I'm at church.
I got 20 people coming from Denver, Colorado to this party. Hey,
That's a man right there. Love it. Good. But everything's going well. Got plenty of tickets, raffles, whatever you need. We can help you out.
Cheryl, do you want to say something about new member events?
Yes, thanks, Dan. So there is a new member event. It's corresponding with our 505. It's at GIA on May the 4th. Please come out and join us. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn about Rotary. And if you've already been to one of these events, come again. And Chip, you've already talked to Nino, and he's got it all set up. Is there going to be a special Rotary drink? Where are you?
Going to be a special Gate City Rotary cocktail. It's so special, I don't know what it is yet.
Great.
But I've heard it's delicious, absolutely delicious.
Good.
Chief, it sounds like a good night for Uber. We're gonna do something different for this. We're also, everybody's got red badges. We're gonna try to get these things taken care of. So if you're a sponsor, please get together with your new member and help them complete the task to get the red badge to blue. We're gonna count this new member get together as a board meeting because most of the board will be there. So there'll be several boxes you can check off by attending a social event, attending a board meeting, and we want to get all of the blue, red badges to blue before we have our 25th anniversary in June. So that's another opportunity to do that as well. And we want to support them as well. Ashley, I think I saw Ashley. How's the health of the club?
I think everyone's healthy. I mean, it's I did see that there's going to be a service for your father coming up.
Yeah. I appreciate the many cards and phone calls. It's so gracious of you. I was just sharing last week, talking about, it's not many places you get a venue to share and talk about your father. And anyway, I want to thank y'all, and it's May 1st, Community in Christ. I'm a Forest Oaks boy. I grew up in Southeast Guilford, and it's going to be there. And it's going to be lively, and some of my dad's friends who are actually still living will be there, and my mom. We're going to tell funny stories on my dad. He was he kind of wore his life on his sleeve, and so there's a lot to make fun of.
And I just encourage anyone, if you have updates on health and yourself, family members, also happiness. If you have something that you want to share, or a promotion, a change in position, anything like that that's really exciting, certainly feel free to.
But if it's happiness, you have to pay $1.
That's what he should say.
Dale, you might get older this week?
I missed last week, but we had nobody to go over last week. So, yeah, but this week, Ben Bracken on the 26th will have a birthday. And a wedding anniversary for Dennis and Marcia Newman. This will be their 11th anniversary. That's it.
Very good, thank you. And let's see, what else do we, Lisa Simpson, last week we forgot her blue badge. Where's Lisa? Lisa, thank you. I understand you already have it, you're official. Buster, any happy dollars?
Happy dollars!
Woo!
Tina, we're gonna put you on the spot. Trump or Hillary?
My happy dollar is a new bundle of joy came into the Conrad family on Sunday. Ashlyn Rose Conrad was 6 pounds 4 ounces, so I am a happy granddad.
Yeah, that's not gonna be a spoilable. I too am a happy granddad. Natalie Carlisle Almond, who was born on April 15th last year, had her first birthday party, and there were 20 people under the age of 2 in Julie's living room down in Charlotte, and about 40 adults out by the pool guarding the cooler very carefully out there. It looked like a toy bomb had gone off. I've never seen any. You could not walk through the living room for all the beautiful toys and gifts. Anyway.
Just want to thank everybody for the kind messages, cards. My brother, it was not a sudden occurrence. He had cancer came back in the summer, and we knew it was good. It came back aggressively, and I was able to see him 3 weeks before he passed on to the next life. We had an absolutely great visit. He was very lucid, and then when he came to the end, he was actually ready to go to his maker. So it was, sorry he's gone, but I'm glad he's not in any pain. Thank you, thank you.
Marley, yay, Marley. I just want to say thank you to everybody who supported Matthew. I know you sent out information about my wine pull to support my ride efforts. And I said this yesterday. I said, I've got all the wine for you to take. And he was like, yeah, is there any way you could come get that out? There's a lot to do up front. So it's really great to see everybody. And I miss you guys all the time. So more date functions, so I can be his date, please. Thanks, and thanks for the warm
So
welcome.
the kids are home alone this morning.
Yeah.
So Katie told me that this is for others that were not biologically connected to their children. The Early College at Guilford was ranked the #1 high school in North Carolina this week, and the #2 STEM school in the United States. No child of mine could have ever gotten in there, but if you're not biologically connected, it's a pretty good school. That was a good deal.
Chip, man, when's the last time you did a happy dog?
Be happy. You know, it is so great to have so many new members, new energy, and I'm just happy for the club. And as I think about that, we've got a great program that Cheryl's lined up over at GIA's. That's going to be a fabulous opportunity for new members to get to meet existing members. But I'm going to challenge you, if you've been in here for more than a month, if you've been a member longer than a month, reach out to those new members. Make sure they feel welcome. They are the energy and the renewal of our club, and I want to make sure that we make each one of them feel valued.
Well, when Grandpappy Lewis was about 20 years old, he was sitting around with some of his buddies, and they said, you know, we ought to do a boys only weekend. And I said, we ought to go to the beach club. You know, they've got cold beer and pretty girls. So, fast forward 15 years, Grandpappy and his buddies are sitting around and say, you know, we need to do another one of those boys only weekends. We ought to go to the beach club. They got scotch and cigars and a casino. Fast forward 15 more years. Grandpappy and his buddies are sitting around and said, you know, we need to do another one of those all-boy weekends. We ought to go to the beach club. They got ramps, bathrooms, everything. So fast forward 15 more years. Grandpappy and his buddies are sitting around and said, we need to do another one of those boys weekends. We ought to go to the beach club. We never been there.
Chip, everybody's leaving. You have to follow Buster, I'm sorry. You're up.
All right. It's not easy following Buster, I'll tell you. It's a broken road right there. Today I have a pretty exciting presentation to make. I ought to be able to memorize this by now. I was running a little late this morning. I think Dan was worried about me. I usually get here fairly early, but I printed my presentation out twice, read through it a couple of times, made sure I folded it up carefully, put it back in the car so I couldn't leave it at home, got halfway here, and forgot the doggone pins. Had to turn around and go back. But anyway, I saw Cooper Trotter. Could you come up front? And how about Randy Elliott? I don't see Randy. Don't tell me Cooper's already left. Cooper did left. I think he just you want me to go ahead with my presentation?
We can skip a portion of the show.
Can I run it back now?
You give me somebody else. You must be present to win.
They get to keep the gold. That's right. This time.
She was fine-tuned machine here. You just got 5 more minutes. Chris, you want to come here and visit Chief? Chief, I'm sorry.
have the pleasure to introduce Chief Wayne Scott. He is the Chief of Police here in Greensboro. I'm going to skip to the bottom, Chief. You're the most important part of his bio. Chief is from this area. He is originally from Burlington, North Carolina. I had married with 2 daughters and only 1 Pomeranian, right? One Pomeranian. He was educated at Liberty University, got his Master's of Science in Management from Liberty, also a Bachelor of Arts from John Wesley College in High Point. Has a ton of other law enforcement related trainings and certifications from really all over. The most impressive thing about his bio when I was reading through this, the way it reads is all about local. He joined the police force here in Greensboro in 1992, made sergeant in 2002, lieutenant by 2007, he was a captain by 2009, and deputy chief of police in 2012. I think he did the right thing and promoted from within, and he made chief in March of 2015. Since becoming chief of police, had a lot of initiatives that I think he's going to talk more about. When I was on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council here, one of the things that we heard a lot about were the community policing initiatives that he's been really strong in developing here. And I hope we'll all join me in welcoming Chief Wayne.
Everybody hear me pretty well, or do I need to be over here? I'm a mobile kind of guy, so thank you all, and on behalf of the just over 850 employees of the Greensboro Police Department, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come out and share a few minutes, share breakfast with you. I am a member over at Greensboro, and I appreciate the opportunity to make a meeting anytime I get that opportunity. So please, I have a short presentation. I'm going to go through it fairly quickly because I'm going to leave some time at the end for you to ask me questions. That seems to be, particularly when I get an opportunity to go out to Rotary, a lot of you all are involved in some of the same things we are, and so it gives us those opportunities to talk about it. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce this young lady to my left. This Susan Danielson is our PIO and the lady who makes all this stuff work for me. The most important person in the room. We're going to start out with something to get you a little bit of wind, so we'll watch a little bit of a video for a second. Maybe.
Protect, excel.
Serve, join.
Hoo-yah, right? I'd like to start that out because, in a couple of ways, that's the way people across the country view law enforcement. And we do as well. We're very proud of every one of those men and women that are in that video and what they do for us. It's a 15-second snapshot where we talk about recruiting, which, by the way, we do have a stack of applications with us. We're always looking for a few good men and ladies. But Chris gave me a great introduction, and you hit exactly on it. I've been the chief about a year and 2 months, or about 14 months total. And it's been a really, really different year in law enforcement, right? We all know that. I've been a police officer 26 years. Been very blessed to have that job and have that interaction. And in 26 years of my career, I've seen things ebb and flow. And this year is very unusual. Shortly after I became chief, I started with some initiatives. And I'm going to cover those and kind of tell you where we're at. And that's really the bulk of my presentation. Tell you a little bit about what GPD is doing, what we're going to be doing in the near future, what we've accomplished, we're still working on, and then how we all work together to get there. So some initiatives that came out in early April. I've been the chief probably less than 6 weeks when I published this exact list to come out. And keep in mind our time frame. So for those of you in the room, and I know the judge up here really well who deals with us on a regular basis, a lot had happened in our country. I know the judge in a good way.
I was just concerned you're both here for me this morning.
We're quite a team. But
really, you gotta look at perspective of at the time, last year in April when I put these out. And it's out there, it's a post-Ferguson world. It's Baltimore's occurred, we have New York, we have unrest in Chicago, a lot of things are happening. So as the leader of law enforcement in this community, these are the things that I began to look across the country and say, what can we do even better? Because these aren't all new. A lot of these are things that we already knew, but we need to enhance them. So I'm going to go through those very quickly. Best practices of crime and increase our quality of life. Here in Greensboro, we call that neighborhood-oriented policing. I hope everybody in this room has heard of NOP at some point, because we spent a lot of time and effort. Don't do that. That's very discouraging. What is neighborhood-oriented policing? It is GPD's version of community policing, but we take it a step further and do a geographic connection. One of the things we found over several years' study was it's important to you all, as residents of the city, that you have some connection. Probably because of where we were born and the way we were raised in the South, we believe that Andy Griffin really exists, and we want to know the person who's working in our neighborhood. Well, realistically, I have 678, 680 sworn officers, give or take, depending on how many trainees I have at any given time. And we have 285,000 residents. That's nighttime residents. So daytime, that jump up 100,000 if we have the furniture market in town, if we have the ACC tournament, if we have Wyndham. So realistically, we can't do that. But what we do well is we look at how do we put our officers so that they respond to at least the same areas of town more often than not. And through NOP are some of the ways that we've done that. We've looked at staffing, we looked at deployment so that we have the same people serving you at least as often as possible. We're in phase 3 of NOP. Phase 1 was about a staffing study, which talked about do we have enough people. And quite honestly, we could use more. I think every facet of government says that, but we are not actually that understaffed, so I'm in a good place with that. Phase 2 was around where they're at, and it's also about creating some specialized teams. I created something called a street crimes unit. So what is a street crimes unit? Well, somebody in here will have a question if you get a chance to ask it about gangs. We hear that all the time. Greensboro's answer to our gangs and our gang issue is around street crimes. My philosophy is not about necessarily attacking gangs, it's about attacking the crimes they commit. And we have been relatively successful with that. We've seen a rise in violent crime across the country. We know that. We've seen it here. We were out walking the streets in 2 different neighborhoods just yesterday evening because we've had a couple of unsolved homicides. We're not at the place we need to be, but there are a lot of communities that are seeing things much worse. Community involvement and adjudicated complaints. All those things that I talked about a few minutes ago, a lot of those spurred out of complaints from citizens about their police department. We wanted to be proactive. We had the first mediation program designed in the state of North Carolina. We actually have an independent mediator that if a citizen is unhappy with the contact with their police officer, we will bring them together with a mediator, if everyone agrees, sit down and discuss it. And you know, we find more often than not, with the exception of one mediation over the last 24 months, everybody leaves the table better. Period. The officer, sometimes young, because out of that 680 plus officers, the average age of my patrol guys is right around 24, 25. That's young. The older I get, the younger it gets. Oh, man. But we talk about communication. We talk about misunderstanding what police do. The television world has driven an incredible direction to this. We can't solve a crime in 28 minutes minus commercials. We can't. We've enhanced the CRC. We work closely with our local elected officials to create a strong citizen review committee. I think that's interesting we put that up there because what do we hear? What is the rhetoric in some parts of our city and other parts around the country? Police oversight. We need police oversight. You have strong police oversight in this particular city, more so than most cities in North Carolina. Bias-based policing committee, we started this back in 2012. We actually reached out to a group of citizens that are a cross-section across our city, and we bring them in and let them help us form some policies. We're one of the first police departments in the country to do that. We actually let citizens come help us form our policies. It's a great group of individuals that will actually be, within the next 2 council meetings, coming forth with a resolution that they created around policing.
Alternatives to arrest and to confinement. We are always looking through this. I'll let the judge stand up and talk about this. Electronic monitoring is probably the most successful we have here in Greensboro. We're one of about 15 cities now across the country that are using this method. We took resources and we gave opportunities for our judicial officials, our judges, our magistrates, to have a mechanism by which they didn't have to use confinement in pretrial areas, particularly in property crimes. When you look at property crimes, back in 2011, Greensboro was rated in the top 100 cities per capita for the amount of burglaries that occurred. Not something we're proud of. We have dropped that considerably. We are nowhere near where we were at one point. And the way we did it was by cutting the recidivism rate of those we arrest. People who commit property crimes don't usually commit one. In actuality, between the time that one of my folks arrests them and before they go see the judge, they probably commit a series of more of them because that's what they know and that's the way that they actually produce income to provide defense or whatnot. So through electronic monitoring, we created a system by which we could help track those individuals. It's a great program, not just because it's successful in reducing the burglaries, because it's very successful in breaking the cycle of those young people. Because the majority of the people I'm talking about are going to be under 20, 21 years old. And we actually give them an opportunity because of the electronic monitoring system that they have to be somewhat ostracized from their group. We have parents come to us and say, please don't take that away. Great system. We always look at diversion programs. We were one of the first cities in the state to go with our violent crime task force. That's part of what the initiative went out last night. It's a joint effort with all our neighboring jurisdictions to go out and to address violent crime aggressively. Alternative ID programs. We're one of the few cities in the state that have partnered with outside agencies to try to help in that regard. We look at ways in which we can do our job more efficiently and serve everyone in our community. And we continue to look at that big thing that we all saw, which was around our research around traffic stops, which was brought to our attention about a year ago when we started looking at it. There's some disparity in numbers. I won't go into that because I could talk hours on that. I know more about traffic stops than I ever thought I'd ever want to know. I will tell you that one, this city cares and we're trying to do exactly the right thing. And two, we're not afraid to address the topic and we're leading the country in that regard. We expanded community outreach. This is something I kind of alluded to when Chris introduced me just a few minutes ago. We have spent a lot of time, money, effort, and manpower in this particular area of policing, and I think it's the right one. When you look across the country, those cities I mentioned, they had made mistakes that you could see before the incidents occurred. Greensboro is better than that. We always have been, and we will continue to lead in this area. Some of the things we've done, I created the Office of Community Engagement. We have dedicated individuals within our organization that are not police to help us bridge those gaps. You get a list of all the operations we have. I'll talk about Message to Die For. We're actually doing one of those this afternoon at Rotary High School. If you have an opportunity to come by, it's in the parking lot. It's an incredible opportunity to watch a theatric program that we've been working with the students at Grimsley for the last few weeks. We've been pushing out little videos that they watch. And it talks about how can we make them safer? And how can we stop them from doing something that we've seen just explode on the scene here, which is texting and driving. So what's going to happen at Grimsley this afternoon in the parking lot, all those particular 2 and 3 minute videos we pushed out to the students over the last few years, or last few weeks, come together. And they come together in a real live presentation where they will watch their classmates go through a fatal wreck, a fatal crash. We work with partners in the community to bring in actual cars. The cars will appear as actual wrecks. We will have parents, grieving parents there. We will have a funeral outside. We will have a life flight helicopter will come airlift some of the victims out. All that happens in the parking lot. And what we see as a result of that is we have kids come back to us and say, you know, you really had an impact. And at the end of the day, if we can affect one. But those are some of our outreach programs. I got yelled at the last time because I skipped the foundation. We do have a Greensboro Police Foundation, which is entering its 2nd major campaign. So everybody has a wallet, we know that. Some of our foundation folks will be reaching out, I hope. One of the first major campaign was to help us start into our body cam program. The second one is going to be surrounding our use and upfitting of our mobile command post. Lastly, in this category are building bridges. If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, I used that term the day I was selected as chief. I had no idea it would tag me the way it did. But it's okay, it's a good tagline. I still believe it's very applicable today. Really what police departments are doing, what we are doing, we're building bridges to those parts of the community we didn't have strong bridges before. As we're moving forward, we even have a monthly television show on our government access channel. Ms. Sandra Hughes, from those of you who've been around, remember the Good Morning Show host from News 2, she's part of that, and we go out and we highlight some of the things we're talking about today. Institute Professional Development, I'm not going to hit on this a whole lot because of time, and I do want to do some questions. The biggest thing in here is our 100th Police Academy, which is underway. We did an entire upfit to our training. We were an award-winning academy going into it. Great accolades through across the country. I have a strong background in training. I was both a lieutenant and a captain over our training division, and I felt like that we had an opportunity to really lead again. And we are. Both our actual in-house academy training was totally revised to still encompass what the state requires, but we'll work on our soft hand skills, work on de-escalation, communication, and not only do it as a class, but we integrate it into every single module of training. When you go learn how to shoot a firearm, we don't forget about talking about de-escalation. And that's really something that most departments aren't doing. We're leading the way in it, all the way through to our field training, which we're going to come to fruition here very shortly, where we'll talk about using new technology in our field training. We're going to be the first department, I believe, in the country, I haven't got that secured, but I know that, but in the state that we will actually use our body cams as electronic journals of what our trainees are doing. So we're excited about that. Recruitment and training of qualified people. Well, I showed you the video. I expect at least 2 applicants out of this room before we leave. Really what I'll hit on with this, without going into a lot of the details, is it is evident, you've heard it in the news, our communities want to see police departments that are reflective of who they are. And we are a diverse community here in Greensboro. That's a great factor for us. It is very difficult to recruit minority candidates and keep our minorities in place. One, because we're part of the government, we don't make a lot of money. Two, because when you look at the youth, the people that we recruit, which are typically going to be 21 years old to about 24, 25 years old, law enforcement just isn't the career they're wanting to go into right now. So we've made a lot of efforts, we've made a lot of success. We are one of the leading departments, at least in the southeast, that we are somewhat successful at this, but we're never at the point, or haven't been at the point we want to be yet. Somebody tell me, when you look at a demographic, what is the most difficult demographic for me to keep and retain for 30 years? Yes?
Hispanic females.
Females, period. It is extremely difficult for us to keep females an entire 30-year career. And so we're looking at how can we adjust what we do to make that more successful. And a lot of it's around just family dynamics and that age that we get when we do recruit young ladies, that they don't stay with us. So it's important for us. Cost-effective, innovative, and sustainable ways to move forward. 100 Police Plaza. I was talking to somebody over here a few minutes ago. That's our new building that's across the street from Melvin Municipal Building. It's 5 stories. We got it for the great bargain of $1 about a year ago, or about 4 years ago. We spent $700,000 getting rid of the asbestos, thank you, federal government. And we now occupy about 2 floors in the basement. We have been able to move some funds, and we hope to be occupying an additional floor in the next 12 months. So that's exciting for us. We will begin for the first time since we've had headquarters to have our actual headquarters all put together. So we're excited about that. But as we move forward, this entire list of things, financially, the government is in the same state that every other part of government is, but unfortunately, our particular issues continue to grow. So we have to look at ways that we can do innovative, cost-cutting measures. One of the things we're coming on, we're coming up on 3 years being deployed with body cameras. Very proud of that. We were way ahead of the curve. Well, who in here has a cell phone that's 3 years old or older? Our body cams are, it's a flip phone, right? I was looking. Our body cams are actually wearing out. I have 50+ body cameras right now that are sent back to the company because they're failing. So we've got to find new and innovative ways of replacing that technology. And lastly, and by far the most important and the great one to go into our questions, is emphasis on nobility in policing. Probably one of the harder ones to talk about. It's more about explaining it. What is nobility? Well, I hit upon that word because I felt like that's what we were missing. And this is a year ago. When I became a police officer 25 years ago at that point, it was a different profession. We were looked at in a different way. Our youth, our college-age kids looked at us differently. And so I set about a series of ways of how can we get that nobility back. And I think we've made good strides here in Greensboro. I'm proud of them. We are not 100% successful, but I will tell you that I had an opportunity just 3 weeks ago to go to Washington, D.C. and to discuss some of our successes amongst my peers, mid-sized cities across the country. And although we're not done, and we will not be done at any time, I think it's something we continue to work at. We're making great strides through some of the programs you see. I'll touch on Police Memorial Week. That's coming up. The dates are?
May 15th and 21st.
I didn't want to spoil it. The 15th through the 21st will be Police Memorial Week. We're doing a Get Your Blue Light campaign. You're going to see these flyers around town. Truly, it means a lot to my folks. It means a lot to this country because we honor those who've made that ultimate sacrifice. Put a blue light up outside your house. We would love it. It would mean a lot to us. If you have Christmas lights you want to string out, or if you're like me and just don't take them down. My wife's not here, thank goodness. But you're going to see a lot of things that week. A memorial service on our plaza. We're doing a banquet on that Thursday, which is open to the public. It's a great event. We honor both our officers and some citizen heroes down at the Empire Room. I would love for everyone here to attend. You can go to the GMA website. They actually help manage that for us. So it's a lot going on. So you got a 45-minute presentation at 15, but it left us enough for a few minutes for questions.
When is Police Memorial Week? I missed that.
15th through the 21st. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about Uber and DUIs, and can you talk about concealed carry?
Yeah. I got Uber and DUIs. What was the last part?
Concealed carry. And
Concealed carry, that's a big one. Uber and DUIs. Use Uber, don't get DWIs. The situation is we really have 3 forms of transportation in Greensboro that are available to you. Actually 4. One is our traditional cabs, which we are in the process of rewriting our cab ordinances because they were last rewritten in the 70s. So we're trying to modernize those, moving away from meters to apps on phones now, that kind of thing. 2 would be Uber. The North Carolina legislation as a whole has kind of taken a step back from Uber and said, if you pay this and you fit their qualifications, you can do it. We're looking at, can we take city ordinances and regulate them, because Uber has a lot of folks upset that are in the transportation business. And secondly, you have a thing called like the 12 and go, which are set fee. No matter where you are in the city, you can get to the airport for that. The most important thing for me is to make sure you're comfortable that who you're getting in with is legitimate. And I think the apps do a pretty good job of that. Use some common sense, particularly Uber. I'm an Uber user. When I was in D.C., I used Uber like 4 times. Ironically, my credit card got compromised while I was there. It goes without saying, DWI is a killer, flat out. We see people, almost as many people die on the roads as they do at acts of violence in our city almost every year. So the homicide rate and the fatality rate is almost neck and neck for us in Greensboro. So take that opportunity. I'm an Uber fan.
What was 4? You said 4. You said there's actually 4.
The Greensboro, or the State Bar.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to hear it.
You won't get home. You'll get to see Robbie later. But it's just not worth it. It's not worth it, guys. I think last I heard, don't quote me on this, but I want to say the average is a 600% increase in your insurance. Isn't that about right? It's huge. I mean, it's crazy. Concealed carry is a huge topic across the country. The other thing is open carry. I'm actually on my church security team. We have a group of officers that are part of our church. I give a large church here, about 900 members. And that's really what we're more concerned with. Concealed carry is out there, it happens, we know that. It's actually called concealed carry handgun now, CCH. The laws have changed a lot, and quite honestly, folks who go through that process can carry just about anywhere now. A lot of limitations have been lifted. The people who do it legally don't bother me. The people who elect to carry it an hour carry, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, I actually stopped by the DMV the other day, which I wasn't there. I had to turn in a tag, that's all I had to do, I sold the trailer. And I'm standing in line at the DMV, and this guy's in front of me, and he's wearing a handgun on his side. And so yeah, I engaged him in a conversation. I'm like, hey dude, what's up with that? And you know, he's like, I carry it everywhere. Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. You know, but what we're seeing, and I'll go back to my story a minute ago, my church has even experienced it once now. We had a guy come in for service to worship with a gun on. So as a church, we made a decision that we were going to put up signage that made it a little bit easier for us to go, listen, you're welcome, but we prefer if you didn't do that at the launch.
That's some pressure, David, isn't it?
It's there, it's real.
Yes, sir.
How much is a body camera?
How much is a body camera? You know, that's a hard question to answer. I'll give you the one I have to give to council all the time. The camera is not very expensive. The model that the body cam industry is using is the same as a cell phone 20 years ago. The camera, the electronics, doesn't cost me a lot. Storing the data costs me $40. So initially we spent about $300,000 to provide enough cameras to cover half our force at any given time. Because we work a split force, we're half are on or half are off. So doing that wasn't bad. The estimate right now is between $450,000 to about $550,000 to keep the data that we take on a yearly basis. The Greensboro Police Department records about 80 hours of video a day. So my average patrol officer answers no less than 12 calls a day. Some of them answer 20 calls a day. And the majority of those calls, unless it's strictly a report call, where we know that going into it, we're going to record our interactions. And the reason that we don't record everything, okay, I'll hit that. People go, why don't you just leave them on? The judge can tell you that, because every time that I use that video camera, it could be conceived as evidence. And we have to be very careful, because then if there's a defense attorney and we have to turn over that evidence, or we have destroyed it, or we have to keep it forever. When you look at the retention laws in this state around misdemeanors versus felonies, around personnel records, you know, personnel record I have to keep forever, ever. I can go back and pull personnel records on police officers from 1941. So the short answer is the cameras aren't that bad. We're looking at an upfitted camera, we're looking at other vendors. Luckily, since 3 years ago, a lot more people are out there, it's a lot more competitive. When we first got into the camera market, there were about 2. Now there are probably 30. Some of them going from very high quality, some of them are made by like Motorola that makes our rest of our radio equipment, which makes extremely high quality cameras that may cost $1,200 a piece, down to some manufacturers are selling for $250. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for what you did.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to know, what can the community do to help you get a better view of the Greensboro City Police Department? What can the citizens do to help you?
Okay, so I'll editorialize just for a minute amongst fellow Rotarians, okay? The bottom line is this. This community, in my opinion, this isn't the police department, overwhelmingly supports us. Overwhelmingly knows we're a good department. And overwhelmingly never says a word. And we allow the very small percentage of folks that are really have alternate agendas out there to lead that conversation. And so I will tell you, get out and vote, or go run for office, but let your voice be heard, because I go to meetings like this. Susan helps me keep on my calendar. Probably 40 times a month I speak, and that's no exaggeration. And overwhelmingly, folks are positive about their police department, they're positive about what happens here in the city, but when you pick up the newspaper or you go to a council meeting, you really don't hear it. So that's a plea from me personally, and I think that will make a big difference. 1 second. Yes, sir.
This is related to one lady's question back there. Neighborhood watch. How effective is it?
Very.
I know in my neighborhood, we didn't have it very active. We had a couple of minor burglaries on the something was active, and now it's not.
And that's, the last part of that's the problem. To be as effective as it can be, it has to be a continuous process. Second thing I'll tell you about it, and what's really cool, if you get on our Facebook or any of our electronic medias out there, there are so many things you can do now, like nextdoor.com and all these websites, that it can be active but not be so laborsome. So I would encourage it. And we'll do 2 more? I think you had one.
It's kind of funny that you were that identity theft crime perpetuated against you. Will a person ever get caught? Is there anything that'll ever be done to stop people from doing this?
I'll even take it a step further. It was my City of Greensboro travel card. As a department head, every department head has a travel card.
I would ask the whole group here, who here has had some type of identity theft or whatever? Raise your hand.
I'll ask, well, does anybody work for Bank of America? Okay? Because what's ironic is, in North Carolina, you're not the victim. I wasn't the victim. Bank of America was.
Right.
And Bank of America chooses not to pursue me. Yes, sir, then we'll finish with you.
Average age, 24. Two-part question. How does that compare with what it was 10, 20 years ago? And what is what's the average length, average employment length, or said another way, employee turnover on my force?
I would say that the age is probably pretty close to what it's always been. We always hire and target young officers. Our turnover rate has increased. Our attrition rate's about 4 a month on average. But that's pretty standard across the country. It's not necessarily bad. Greensboro is considered to be a stair-step agency. We have a great reputation. We're of a great size. So I lose folks to our federal partners, which a lot of our smaller departments don't. I also get people from our smaller departments. I get Burlington officers who come here, or I get officers from here to go to the FBI. So it's kind of the same. We see it ebb and flow.
In-house promotion.
It does. It just moves around. So.
This
Last
is
one, yes,
more
sir.
of a practical question, Chief. You want to secure your house when you close your peeps at night. How many burglaries go through a window versus just kicking in a door and leaving your lights on? What are some preventive things you can do for burglary?
Well, I'll start out by telling you, if you access our websites and you live in the city, we'll actually send an officer out free of charge to do an assessment of your home. That's a service we provide. 50% of the burglaries in our community and across the country are through an unlocked door or open window. Period. Lock your stuff.
And time of day.
It's always, well, probably 85% or better is daytime, when the rest of us are at work.
Daytime?
Daytime.
Yep.
Nighttime burglary is extremely risky. I know that it's important to be on time for Rotary. I will stay as long as I want to. If you want to consult me if you leave.
Hey, real quick, before everybody leaves and I got your attention, pick up one of these if you've got some kind of workplace you can put it, please.
Very good. Chief, I want to say thank you. I've worked in your building for almost 30 years. I can tell you that when the IRS was in the building, nobody cared it was full of asbestos.
I was over the other day looking at some mechanical equipment with some of the guys, and security there is about a third of what it was when the IRS was there. Yeah, they got guns.
They took it all with them. We took it out for them. Chief, we're going to donate a book in your honor to Cone Elementary. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much. Hey, take care, guys.